disposition. One guess who never starts an argument, who never shows a bit of temperament, who's got the sweetest disposition.
Hello to all members of the BETAMAX video channel. This week we will talk about a most famous duck. Over the course of nearly 8 decades, Donald Duck has become one of the most celebrated and fondly remembered of all Disney characters.
23, calling car 23, officers Mickey Mouse.
What is sometimes not remembered is that Donald began life in 1934 as a very different duck. His physical appearance in his earliest films was one that many of today's Disney fans would scarcely recognize. This was not unusual. Most of Hollywood's classic cartoon characters have evolved slowly into their final form. Mickey Mouse, assuming his classic design within his first 3 films, was the exception to the rule.
To get in the rest of it.
I said earlier that I would try this, but I quickly realized when I watched Bill that it's not possible. There's a lot of talent in this animation.
Most people like Donald when he's losing his temper, so I generally draw him in when he's upset about something.
Well, I asked Dave why he thought Donald was so popular. For me, it's because he's always kind of played the underdog, hasn't he? Look at that. He finished it. Bill Justin.
Control yourself. Have you heard this one? It's about the Remember, before you lose your temper, count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Hey, you're doing fine. In fact, I'm going to give you a...
Donald's debut in The Wise Little Hen was built around his voice, supplied by the uniquely talented Clarence Nash. His appearance was simply that of a generic cartoon duck, with a long bill, extended neck, and waddling gait common to his species. As he returned to play additional supporting roles in 1934 and 1935, his appearance remained essentially the same.
Tony Anselmo took over the voice of Donald Duck when Charlie Nash, the original voice, passed away 3 years ago.
Does anybody understand what this duck is saying?
This is the last time I work with someone with a speech impediment.
The voices are recorded before the animation is done.
Over 50% of the inspiration for the animators comes from what they hear on the track. You always record the voice first, and they animate to that. Then, of course, the rest is the talent of the animator and his ability to act through his pencil.
In the spring and summer of 1936, in shorts like Orphan's Picnic and Moving Day, audiences began to see changes in Donald's design. His bill, still strong and duck-like, became more malleable and expressive. His eyes grew larger, telegraphing his changes in expression. No longer a nondescript duck, he was becoming a distinct, unique individual. By this time, Donald's popularity with audiences was unmistakable, and the Disney studio was clearly grooming him for stardom.
Problem solved. The show must go on. Photographer ready. Final costume adjustment.
Don Donald, the first picture in which Donald Duck's starring series, was released in January of 1937. By now, Donald had settled into the familiar design still remembered today. During these golden years of Disney animation, many artists displayed uniquely specialized talents, and certain animators were found to have a special proficiency in animating Donald's movements and moods. These artists formed a loose talent pool known as the Duckmen. Along with the changes in his appearance, and perhaps more important, came the development of Donald's personality. In his first role in The Wise Little Hen, Donald had existed only to serve the needs of the story. His main characteristics in that film were his laziness as he dodged the responsibility of helping the hen plant and harvest her corn, and a mischievous glee when he fooled her into thinking he was too sick to work. It was in his second appearance in Orphan's Benefit in 1934 that Donald showed his true colors. In this short, he attempted a stage performance for an audience of unruly youngsters who heckled him mercilessly and threw objects at him. Donald lost his temper and exploded in a tantrum, and animator Dick Lundy devised a distinctive action to show off his fighting rage, hopping on one foot, brandishing his fist, challenging all corners.
Each plane is capable of moving in various directions. Here we see one being moved sideways. The camera operator looking down from the viewpoint of the camera.
You may.
It was a career-making scene. Donald Duck was a naturally funny character anyway, but when he became angry, he was hilarious. In subsequent films, he retained his lazy and mischievous attributes, but his temper became his defining trait. Mickey Mouse, increasingly a nice guy in the mid-30s, made a direct appeal to the audience's sympathies, but Donald, of the thunderous rages, was clearly built for comedy.
He can turn so that we see all sides of him. He seems to have roundness. There's nothing flat about him. He can almost poke his finger in your eye. But
the story department obliged, unleashing a host of slapstick indignities on him. In the first 3 years of his screen life, Donald was chased by a runaway saw blade in the dog napper, swept over a waterfall, and brained with a tree on ice, trampled by stampeding horses in Mickey's polo team, dive-bombed by a swarm of bees in Orphan's picnic, inflated like a balloon and sent careening through the air in Moving Day, fired from a cannon and electrocuted in Mickey's Circus, and smashed through a window and dangled from a precarious height in Donald and Pluto. He took it all, and belligerently, and bounced back for more. By the late 1930s, both Donald's design and his personality had crystallized. The years 1937 to 1941 might be considered the peak of his acting career. They produced a series of delightful shorts, which drove him with exquisite artistry to the breaking point time and again. When a 1938 audience saw a Donald Duck short with his title Self-Control, and saw Donald in its opening scene happily relaxing in his hammock, they knew what to expect. The fun was in watching how his eponymous self-control would be shattered by the film's end. But what carefully crafted degrees the filmmakers would inflict life torments on him until, step by step, he lost his temper completely. And Donald never disappointed. His films invariably ended with a wild, sputtering paroxysm of rage. Is it any wonder why we still love the Duck? This information is from Disney historian J.B. Kaufman.